Was up? So I was on TikTok and I'm like, I gotta stop because the 3 minute pauses are killing me. But I'm getting downloads or insights at a rate that is overwhelming. It feels like the feeling of when I smoke too much. And literally any type of smoking is too much for me. Because it makes me uncomfortable, it gives me anxiety, because my mind feels like it's too ahead of itself. Like I can't keep up. It feels like it's having its way with me, the downloads, the information. Because each, let's say, packet of information that comes in expands and it touches upon every truth that I've learned thus far, confirms its foundation, and then sets it off in a direction where I understand something in such a deeper way. Like when I went through my first awakening in 2012, no one was around. Nobody except my 3 friends in Switzerland, Cuba, and Canada. On Facebook, thank God Facebook was around. But I'm one thing I'm learning now. Well, see, it's already coming in too fast. First, I felt apathetic. I felt like I didn't care. And it was like life being like, listen, you're in between worlds. You're about to realize that this rabbit hole that you went down 10 years ago has another rabbit hole. There's a hole in the hole. And you're going to go into it. But this rabbit hole is the same hole, but it just goes upwards. It feels more upwards than downwards. I don't feel like I'm diving into a rabbit hole because my first awakening was very scary, overwhelming. This one is overwhelming, I will use that word, but it seems like a direction that is, I'm not leaping in, I'm leaping and not even going up. It's directionless at this point. But one thing I'm learning, oh yeah, so I feel like you gotta take a break because you're about to be busy mentally, emotionally, everything. Where was I? Or where am I going? That's a message in itself. You see how quick they come? It's not about where was I. Don't try to go back to where you were at. Maybe the thought left your mind because a more higher vibrating, resonating thought took it from you so that you could follow a more positive thought stream, thus creating reality around you. Okay, so I'm just going to start from here. For some reason, this caught my attention. Ditrigonal pyramid. And it all started from chemical compound of mercury sulfide. I found this crystal. And I'm like, all right, let me look into it. It's not poisonous. However, when I was reading about it, mercury and sulfur, poisonous alone to us. Together, non-poisonous. It's like 2 negatives make a positive. It's also called cinnabar and vermilion. Vermilion sounds like a species or something. And then my side quests were Y, and I. Like sulfur turns to sulfide. And then that made me go into Sid. I want to break down the origins of these words to find out why I did, but I didn't write it down. Verm, and then Ilian, eyed, eyes, a bar or bar. I don't know what the root, how much of it is the root. And then 8, like sulfate. Oblique means slanting, like a round picture. Okay. Mercury, YHG, and the properties of that and sulfur. And then that caught my attention and then threw me into a whole different thing. Experiments. I hypothesized that collective unity. Nerdy. Love it. It's out of love though. I hypothesized that collective unity gaining momentum by collective focus, pure intention, and helpers in this reality and of the astral plane. And then for some reason I did the alchemical symbol for oil. But I've been into triangulation and the power of 3 and something about the something, right? So I don't know if you saw my other video, but all of a sudden I see ditrigonal pyramid, and I watched this video explaining the physics of the 4th dimension or the 4th density, and I learned that all dimensions contain the dimension below it. Like the form follows function, the small parts make up the whole. So far that truth is still consistent. There's smaller parts that make up a whole. It showed how in 2D Oh my god, I have something else too. And I don't even care how outrageous it sounds, because those who know. You know, flat earthers, we call them, as if they're a group that is... I even watched, because I entertain wild ideas, but I need to make sure that it's truthful, because I understand that there's people who like drama, and there's also people who want to distort the image. Hence the name conspiracy theorist. It gives it... Would you trust... If you didn't know what a conspiracy theorist was, just by the name alone, would you trust it? Programming. Okay. I lost my train of thought. Oh, so now I'm back to it. It explained the first dimension as a singularity or a line. There's no, even though it's in motion, it's just self-contained, right? Second dimension, lines. The lines, based on the direction they go, form shapes. But that's 2D. That means 2D is like this. A flat piece of paper. Can you watch the video, please? So if 2D, there's spiritual dudes in 2D, but they exist on flat lands, right? They're like this, because they can't have like a round head. Like, they have to have a head with them. So we have lines. When I get awakened, first I get pissed off, and then I get the answer with love. So you know how in math we have the X and the Y axis? There's a Z axis. And it goes... So for example, the x-axis, like we learned like 1, 2, 3, just in case you forgot, negative, -2, then -1, -2, and then 1, 2, 3. Whenever we graph something, let's say just that. The x-axis dictates forward and backwards. This is left and right. So we think that we're looking at it, what it looks like, but we only see one side of it, because until we incorporate the z-axis as 2D deers, we can't possibly... We know left and right, but what happens when we add the z-axis, which is height? Length, width, and height are the dimensions of the area. Is it area or volume? Area. Literally the area. Like, how much space does this area, this particular confound that I'm putting on this invisible structure, anywhere at any time, like, how much water does this hold? What is, well, that's volume. I guess it's different measures for different types of masses. That was just a download. You have to take different measures, different approaches to reach different masses. And there's many masses. Gas, liquid, solid, all that stuff. And just as above, so below. So are humans. That's why we needed Jesus, we needed Muhammad, we needed Buddha, we needed all, because it's a different modality. You see, the rate that they come at, it's like, I want to just take a moment to pause and then just enjoy that thought, but I'm also learning too that it's important to speak it and let it unfold, because if I hold all this in, just as like any system, if there's a blockage, the flow will not flow through, or it'll cease and then build up energy. Because I am so excited and thrilled and awakened by this information that I want to speak it so that I can get more of it, but also at a steady pace if possible. But I don't know what I signed up for. I was probably like, give it all to me. Make me go crazy. Careful what you wish for. So anyways, we're graphing this right now. We're picturing it coming at us. Z is the axis that determines the direction it's going outside of the 2D plane, which is this and this. Like, you just see an X, right? Or like you just see a square, right? But in 2D, you would just see it like this, because as a flat thing, you can't tell this is a rough. If I cut this, you know what I mean? You would just see a long line. And then if I shifted it, you'd be like, oh, the line just got smaller. You wouldn't even see this corner. Understand? So this guy put it in a way where if you're in 4D now, there's actually a deep realization. Oh God. Because if that's true, then the world will, but you know what, there'll be ones who are there and will awaken. So let's say we are 2Ders. Let's put our minds in the idea that we live in the 2D. Did you know that our retinas are two-dimensional? They refract light at the 2D level. How do our retinas exist in the second dimension? Because we're multidimensional and every dimension above incorporates the below. So we think we see everything as 2D. But we use things like light, which come from higher dimensions, that refract different shapes that give us the depth, shadow, shade, but we see the outline. We can draw it because it's just a bunch of shapes. When we grab it, the 2Ders can feel in the second dimension. This is, I'm still speaking from a completely scientific point of view. But if you ask any scientist, physicist, especially theoretical quantum physicists, the imagination. Alright, so anyway, I'm not gonna be able to follow a strain of thought. Oh, okay, so then they said, now you're in 3D and you have to show 2Ders what it's like to see something in 3D. So a circle would look like that, right? But you have to picture it as a plane, a flat, like the side of a square, right? You just take off one side of a rectangle, but then a 3D object comes. Oh no, it would just, okay. So if we dipped a cube, or if I dip this into the, I'm like, yo, 2D, check it out, check it out, check it out. I'm gonna show you what 3D is, even though they can't comprehend it. It looks like this. So we dip into their plane and move through it. A direction, a z-axis, even though it's called W in 3D, but this z-axis shows a direction that is unknown to us. They only have these dimensions to work with, length and width. We're like, yo, there's height, check it out. We dip into the plane. But when we dip out, it looks like it disappears. It goes right back to nothing. You understand? So now in 4D, so we have length, we have width, and then we have, oh my God, length, width, height. Length, right? Yeah, width, and then height. There's another dimension that goes beyond length, width, and height. So you have the x-axis, backwards, forwards. Y-axis, up and down. The Z-axis, rotation. Direct, this is hard to explain. It gives it depth. The Z-axis gives it depth. So this would be, let's say, 2 by 7. Let's say this is not liquid though. 2 by 7 by any number, 4. 2. It's a circle. Let's say 7 by 11. Let's use 5, 10, and 2. So the length, I always forget which one's length and width. So the length, 10. The width, 5. The height, 2. I just got a download that could be interchangeable completely. That's just for us to categorize it as humans. But anyway, so that Z-axis is this. Because two-dimensional would only see a square, but the Z is like, okay, wait, a different angle, a different perspective. In the fourth and fifth and beyond dimension, there's the W-axis. It can't be graphed. The Z-axis, at least it could. The W-axis aims in a direction that goes beyond length, width, and height. And it involves a different space. Holding. This is, you know what? I'm gonna add this to my purpose here while I'm living on Earth as a human. I speak this into existence, have a collective positive for the greater and highest good, profound impact on the vernacular and speech and power of the words that we use by repetition, consistency, and intentions of love. The deep truths that resonate. Words are... So anyway, I'm gonna end it after this because diatrigonal pyramid out of nowhere, and then I watched that video about what I just explained, and so I'm like, let me look at that. How can a diatrigonal pyramid? Because a pyramid I understand 3, trigonal, but 2. So it's a 2-3. It's a 2-3. Oh my God! I just got another one. Almost like 2D and 3D. For a diatrigonal pyramid or a 4D shape to exist, it's 2D, 3D. It has to be another angle. Okay, wait. So I drew it from another angle, and then I'm like, this would be like a pyramid, right? Because it's the top, and those are the 4 corners. So then I'm like, wait, should die and try 2 and 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 points to the faces. And it also includes 1D because the dots represent 1D. If I drew it, you would understand what I meant, that these are the sides, and that in your mind this all rises to the top, hence why the triangles are at that angle. There's the top of a pyramid. And we can picture it. So 4D is a different perspective. A different space to hold it. So a 3D rendition. You can only explain 3D with 2D. By drawing it. So to explain and understand 4D, we must understand 3D, which is dimensionality, angles, space, shapes, and numbers. Numbers seem to be the way. That was a symbol, I think, for Mercury sulfide, and that caught the hell out of my attention. I'm like, why'd you pick 3? And well, it led me here. So anyways, thanks for following. And you know how in algebra too, because I'm like, wait, why is there not 1 in there? But like, let's say you have an algebraic equation, 1x plus 2, you don't even need the 1 there because it resides within everything, because it is 1. Everything goes back to 1. Literally, figuratively, metamorphically, spiritually. I don't care. I'm sorry. I said that out loud. I didn't mean to say it out loud, but I was like, wow, I don't know how many this is gonna actually hit. But then it's like, wait, I don't care. I have to do this for me. I gotta express this for me, because otherwise I will go crazy, because these truths are so profound that I understand deeply that this is the future of what the truth is evolving towards, and how could I know this and not take action and not be a part of it. So even during the times where I'm gonna end this here. Much love to you.